We're standing here looking at the west front, or the entry to Winchester Cathedral. The original church was in a close by but different location in 642. And of course, when the Normans came, they wanted to build their own. And this particular building was started in 1079. It had just been remodeled quite often. In case you're wondering, it looks like it's sloping on either side, but that's just an optical illusion. It's not even my camera. For some reason they did this. It also occurs at Exeter Cathedral. So now we have come inside and we're looking at that west window, but we're looking at it from the inside. It's quite large and it has an interesting history. In 1649, the English decided they no longer wanted a monarchy and they executed Charles I by beheading him. Cromwell and the Puritans also did not want to have any images of any saints in any of the churches. So Cromwell's troops came to Winchester, entered the nave with their horses and their muskets, and decided to do target practice at the ancient stained windows. The local people, of course, were horrified by this. They went around and they gathered as much of the broken glass shards as they could, saved them, and this window was eventually made out of the recovered glass. So everything you're looking at is actually medieval glass, but it almost looks like an abstract image because there were not enough shards left to recreate any of the sacred images that were originally in the windows. So this may seem like an odd photo, and in a way it is. I'm in the crypt area, which is the very oldest part of Winchester Cathedral. You can look at the architecture and tell that it's very early Norman. And then all of a sudden, there's this modern sculpture that is in the ancient crypt. The sculptor, the artist, is Anthony Gormley. This was installed in the late 1980s. I've seen it before, but never when there was water on the ground. During the rainy months, the water level down in the crypt can rise up to the knee level of the sculpture. And there is actually a tube inside the sculpture that draws water and then puts water in the cupped hands of the sculpture. So now I'm standing in the nave looking towards the south aisle, and we can see the bays, and it looks like there's a building in one of the naves, and in fact that is a building within a building. It is called a chantry chapel. Many of the wealthy bishops would have a chantry chapel built for them that would house their body. They would also fund in perpetuity a priest that would say a daily mass for their soul. This particular chantry chapel is for Bishop William of Wykeham. He was bishop at Winchester from 1367 to 1404. He was very wealthy, as most of the bishops were, and he funded and was responsible for the transformation of the nave from the old Norman style to the new Gothic style, in this case, perpendicular. Part of the deal is that he would have the biggest chantry chapel in the cathedral, and that it would be right there in the nave, and you can see how tall it is. Now, this may seem a little excessive to the modern mind, but we need to remember that he died, and he lived soon after the Black Death, which was from 1348 to 1350 in England, where up to half of the population had died. So there was a great concern for the soul in purgatory. Here we are looking at some wall paintings within Winchester Cathedral. These are from the 12th century. They are located in what's called the Holy Sepulchre Chapel. On the side are the deposition and entombment of Christ, and above, Christ in majesty. Winchester is currently having an exhibit up on the gallery level on the south transept. But of course, I am looking much more at the architecture than at the exhibits, and want to take a video because I think this is a wonderful example of that Norman architecture with all those semicircular arches and the cushioned capitals and just the strength that it conveys. So this is our last photo at Winchester Cathedral, and it shows a wonderful scene of the nave, which is in Gothic, in the last phase called perpendicular. And you can see how completely different this is from the video showing the Norman, or what they call on the continent, Romanesque architecture.